Hi, my name is Ray Catull, and you may know me from the such projects as... You may also know me as the host of the internet's favorite harness handicapping show, North American Harness Update, which I host with these two guys, Mike Prebosi and Rod Adams Jr. Every Friday from 9 p.m. Eastern, you can catch us talking harness, handicapping harness, and most importantly, having fun with harness. Can we please get this stuff out of my face? Thank you! North American Harness Update, Fridays from 9 on SRN1. Also download Often Pacing and using promo code NAHU200K, start your stable with an additional 200,000 coins. You can also catch show archives and racing analysis over at our website, NAHUPicks.com!
They gave you enough, they come back and give you a little extra. They don't call me Toot Take Johnny for nothing. Quite frankly, I wish they'd stop calling me that, because my real name is John Mellencamp, joined here by the Bella Von Grigio Orchestra, as well as Mike Prebosi, Rod Adams Jr. This is the NAHU Extra from North American Harness Update, here to cover the Running Aces Casino and Racetrack $7,500 guaranteed pick for Tuesday, July 17th of this year, 2018. Now, this sequence starts off with the 8th race on the 11th race program, and it looks to be another very competitive sequence. Big fields, vulnerable favorites, all of the angles necessary to provide for big bomb boom upsets. And we started off here in the 8th race. Winners over $5,000 lifetime pace with an optional claiming tag of $12,500 versus $10,000 here, gathering 9 horses. And Mike, the big horse is handicapped to the outside. However, I think you're going for some of the class here.
Yeah, a little class for me. I'm going to be too deep here, using the 2 droppers. The 4 Make It Big drops out of Dan Patchalims last time. Really no shot from where he was in the race. Prior to that, was in the open handicap 2 weeks in a row. Picked up a 3rd on June 17th. This horse draws well, has flash speed in the past. I think is capable of beating these horses. A lot of them are stepping up while he's coming down. And, he should be in a good spot early. And also the 7, Best in the Business. This horse also was in the Dan Patchalims. Really was, tried to go for the front against Trashy Tonguecocker. Never had a chance in that race to see the wood. I thought the horse raced pretty well, considering prior to that was racing in the open handicaps for several weeks. Ended up winning one on June 17th with a really nice first up move. This horse is very capable against these horses and has a good chance. 4-7.
Now, Rod is our resident handicapper over at NAHUPicks.com for Running Aces Casino and Racetrack. And, Rod, I'm pretty sure you have none of the numbers Mike just listed.
Nope, none of them. He only listed 2, but I'm going 4 deep here. I'll start with the 3 Prodigal. Comes off a nice win last time, last quarter 27 flat, 1 mile and 53 and a piece. Gets Rick McGee, and I think is going to be competitive from an inside post against Similar. The 5 Pancetta. Missed 3 weeks in between his last 2 starts and come right out and win. Driver switch, Dean McGee took another horse, so Nick Rowland jumps on, which is not a negative. Comes off a very nice win, even though this horse was getting a perfect trip there. Still plays with that big last half. The 6, Tin Horn Creek. Mooney stays on the drive. He seems to get along with this horse. Nice win in 152 last time out, and went right to the front. I could see this one leaving once again, and I think there's going to be some other horses that don't leave here, and it might just set up for this horse at a price. And then the 9, Hard Cold Cash, 4 wins in a row. I think he's a play even from the outside post because he has early speed, and this was Dean McGee's choice, so I'm going to use him. I'm not big. He might take a lot of play just because he's got 4 wins in a row, so I'm still going to use him, but only for precautionary reasons. 3, 5, 6, and 9.
Hard Cold Cash, more like Hard Cold Loser. Yeah, jeez, I don't like him from the outside post, especially considering a bunch of the other speed here that could be shown from, say, the 7 Best in the Business, Tin Horn Creek. Pancetta seems to have more tactical speed, which is why I use him. He's one of the 2 horses I use in this race to kick off the pick 4 sequence. He was sitting in the pocket last time out, and as Rod mentioned, that was his first start in 3 weeks, and he came off that layoff to win at odds of 10-1. He's making a bit of a step up in class, but in all honesty, he can work out a trip, and if he just kicks home the way he usually does, he's definitely a factor here, regardless of class. And I also like Prodigal for similar reasons. He can lead, but that's not his best spot. His best spot is usually tracking horses when they do the work for him, and then he can come catapulting off and capitalize from there. He did that last week as the 3-2 favorite. He sat second over. He came wide to the stretch. He flew by them all to win. 4 starts back. He's had a similar trip, but they went a little bit faster on the lead to set it up for him, and he won there at odds of 3-1. So if there's a lot of speed, as I project there might be in this race, it's going to set up for one of these two, and maybe others, but I don't think they really have the form that stands out as much as these two, which is why they're the 2 I use and the 2 I see. So I'm 3-5, not to get confused with 2, as I've been saying that a lot. 3-5 for me to kick off this first leg of the $7,500 guaranteed pick 4, or $7,500 for those of you who like it that way. Next race, second leg of the pick 4, non-winners of 3 to 4 extended parimutuel races. This is again the 9th race, second leg of the sequence. Another big field here. We got 9 horses. That's a full field over at Running Aces, and I thought that this was pretty contentious. I'm the deepest here and in the next leg. Mike, what about you?
4 deep. I'm going to use the 1, MT Gunslinger. Came from Hoosier last time, was bet to 3-5, and burned money, ended up first up and just got tired. But fits against these. I mean, there's not a lot of stellar form in this race. The 2, Yankee Time, raced in that same race and closed late, closed in 29 to be third. Shows a 28-2 kicker, 2 back. This horse always seems to be around it. Draws well, could close. It's just a matter of trip for that one. The 3, Who's Dreaming, that's a very similar thing. The horse is, always around it. Second to last 2 starts, 1-3 back, and this horse is just racing well. He's sharp. He's always right there at the wire, and draws well again, no problem there. And the 5, My Heart's Conquest. This horse won 3 in a row, and then ended up with the 8-hole last time. Ended up getting the front, but got a little bit tired late. But I feel like even off that effort, this mare is capable of getting the front again in this race, especially against some of these inside sitters here. Should be able to control things. 1, 2, 3, 5.
Rod, you like my moves? And if not, whose moves you like?
I like the inside here, just like Mike. I'm not as deep. I'm going 1, 2, 3. Basically for the same reasons. I like the first start for the 1 last time, although I was against him there and he did get beat. The 2, Yankee Time. This one's sneaky and comes out of the same race, finished right at the wire in a photo with the 1 horse, and definitely plays in this field, especially with the inside draw. I think could be leaving once again. And then the 3, Who's Dreaming, has been sharp. There's not much to go against there. So 1, 2, 3.
Yankee Time may be sneaky because he sure is getting by me. I don't use this horse at all. I use MT Gunslinger. As much as I disliked him on debut here at Running Aces last out, as Mike said, he went first over, so he raced at least well. He didn't just sit, and he was the favorite last time for obvious reasons, moving down in class and off the ship, yada, yada, yada. But he draws well here, should improve second time out, and with an easier trip, he definitely seems like a legitimate contender here, but unfortunately, he's probably going to, again, take a lot of play, but at least it's more reasonable. The 4, Whizzlesticks, is the second horse I use. He was put into the mix aggressively last out, dropping down from the numbers of 4 to 5 level. That was off of 3 days rest. So after finishing third off a rail trip, 3 days later, he came back. He was sitting at the inside, and he pulled wide, rushed to the lead to the 3/4, and of course faltered after making that big move. Now she's coming in off a week's rest. I think that she's going to be a much stronger contender this time around, especially with that mile under her belt, but she's going to benefit more from a trip perhaps, or just maybe not going as fast in the middle of the race, but faster at the end of the race. That's the goal of all horses after all. And then the 8, Cause I'm Happy, is the 3rd horse I used. Last out, had the rail, tried to race on the front, didn't really work out too well for him either. He collapsed on the lead, but 2 starts back from post 7, flew from the back to be second, only by a nose behind Forgive Us Our Sins. And so maybe from that outside setup, and that setup could just be his preferred racing style. He didn't like to race up towards the front last time, although a couple starts back, he struggled to come from off the pace as well. So he might need the right setup, but he at least has the potential to capitalize off of a certain situation. That situation is if he gets the right trip. 1-4-8 for me in the second leg. I'm going to be 3 deep again in this 10th race. Filly and Mare, Nauers at 37.50 in their last 4 starts. Another full, or a slightly less field, but still 8 horses in contention. And all these 8, I think, have a legitimate shot. Mike, this seems like you could make this an all race if you really wanted to.
You could. For cost purposes, I'm 5 deep, which I really hate to do that. I hate taking more than half. Usually that breaks my rules, but in any case, I'll start with the one placing first. Drops from open handicaps into this race, and has been closing for checks. Has been getting a lot of 4ths and 5ths at that level. This is a much more reasonable spot. This horse last time was numbers of 5,000 last 4, 1 at aces at even money. Draws perfect. One that can win for sure. The 5, no guarantees. I just like this horse because he's a closer. I feel like, if the race should fall apart with all the speed in the race, especially a lot of these horses inside, this horse could get a little bit of a setup. Always seems to take a bet at this level. So more of a style play there. The 6, Place at the Beach. This horse has won 3 in a row. Open 6, claiming handicaps, and has some speed. Hard to fault a horse that's this sharp, and 7 wins this year, 9 wins last year. The horse certainly knows where the wire is. The 7 swinging again, 1 at this level, a little bit lower last time as the favorite. Tends to be a little bit of a stalker. Is racing well, 4 times out of 5 in the money this year. Was 13 out of 16 in the money last year. So again, another one that's going to be around. And then the 8, Boom Boom Shaboom, was stuck at open handicap levels, and those are just too tough. But in those conditioned races, if you look back June 19th, June 10th, 2 wins in a row. The outside post is a little bit iffy, but another one that has a chance. So 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Rod, how do you dissect a field as competitive as this?
I kind of played scenarios here and tried to go with what I thought was the most likely, obviously, but the one placing first is kind of the X factor in this race. I see this horse leaving in here, and I think if Tim Mare gets this horse off the gate well, she's going to be tough to beat, just based on who she's been racing against recently, and from the rail, I don't think he's going to try to duck her in this race. The 2, Abby Jade Hanover, I throw this one on just because I think maybe she can get a 2-hole trip. She was on the lead last time. That's not really her forte. She seems to be better this season coming from either off the pace or off cover, maybe sitting on the rail. But, she's just so recently. I throw her on because she could possibly get a nice 2-hole ride here. And then the 8, Boom Boom Shaboom, I think this horse has to be used even from the outside post on the class drop. Last time she faced similar, she beat him, and obviously the only concern is the post, but the horse is good enough to win this race. So 1, 2, 8.
As for me, my strategy is looking at a race and trying to figure out whichever horse is going to hit the line first, because that is the horse that will win the race. And those horses for me in here are 3. And that grammar is correct. Do not check me on that. I don't like Boom Boom Shaboom in this spot because sure, she's dropping in class, but the 1 is so much more back class than the 8 that I'm just going to use her. She makes more sense from a post standpoint, from a positioning standpoint, from an overall likelihood standpoint, as well from a form standpoint. I still don't trust Boom Boom Shaboom's form enough to race at least at this level. She seems at least a notch below this, and from the outside post, I'm thinking she might take a lot of money, and it's probably more worth it to leave her off the ticket than it is to use her. While placing first just makes the most sense. 4 starts of the open handicap, raced okay up there, but then 5 and 6 starts ago, won at the $3,500 level, this one, and the level above this as the even money favorite. There's nothing more else to say about that. She belongs here. She has the form to race here. I used the 3, Get Her Queen Flush is the second horse I used. Finally gets an inside draw after 2 starts from the 8-hole, 2 starts back, and from the 7-post last out. But last out, she showed speed. She tried to race on the lead, and she held on to end up finishing second, while in the start before that, she tried to race from off the pace. Didn't really do too well. But as you guys know, and as for people who follow this know, I like seeing horses that show sudden bursts of speed, because that could be a sign that they're improving, that they want to get involved, that there's some kind of life inside of them. And this horse at 12-1 on the morning line could add value to this pick 4 ticket and also be a legitimate contender, even though she is moving back up in class. And then the 6th, Place at the Beach, is the third horse I use. She does have a lot of wins on the page that might warrant a lot of betting from the public on her. However, she is also making a move up in class. She was racing in the $6,000 claiming level almost exclusively in her last couple of starts, and then was racing in the much lower condition levels than this one a couple starts before that. But I like that she's removing the claiming tag this time around. She has the speed to get involved. She seems really sharp right now, and she could potentially be improving as well. So she is a legitimate contender in this race, and they definitely, or the connections at least, see that, because they don't want to put her up for sale. They removed that claiming tag. So I'm 3 deep here, 1, 3, 6 in the third leg of this pick 4, which brings us now to the final leg. I don't know why I'm doing an Irish drinking song gesture, but it's the 11th race, my hoidies. It's the non-winners of 850. I can't keep it to beat. Winners of 850 the last 4 starts, $3,600 purse, bottom level filly and mare pacers, a field of 9. Last time we saw this condition cap off the sequence, there was a big upset, and we see big upsets in this last leg usually. So, Mike, are you thinking it's going to happen once again this time around?
Yeah, I think it could. I'm 3 deep, and I'm starting with the 2 in the race, Frisky's Angel. This horse has had 2 inside or outside posts in a row. Prior to that, was racing okay in those 4 and 5 claimers. Was bet in those races, and getting checks. The horse tried to lead last time at this level and just got tired. But I like the move inside. I like the driver switch. I think that this horse has a legitimate chance. It probably is going to take money. I'm going to try the 7. This horse is a closer, and the last 2 races have been a little bit better from outside post. Was bet last time, was less than 6-1 after being 37-1 2 back. Keeps Rick McGee, should be flying late. This horse is going to be a price, and I feel like that if the race should fall apart, the horse is starting to come around. Eventually, is going to get there. And then the 8, yes, well, no, maybe. This horse dropped last time, and just had a terrible trip. Was for Longo, was wide the entire way. Was 4-1 in that spot. Draws outside, probably won't take as much attention in here, but I feel like should be on the engine early. If the horse can get a close spot like that he did from 3 back, when 26-1 from the 7-hole, just missed to be second, beating the neck. Big chance against these 2, 7, 8.
Rod, what do you see?
I'm only using one of those that Mike's using, but I'm 3 deep as well. The 3, Awesome World. Stopped in her last race, came back and qualified okay, so I think it might have just been one of those short-term issues. That's what I'm hoping anyways. She's probably going to take some money again, but 2 starts back she beat very similar, and I think she's got to be used from an inside post, and she should be much closer than what she's been showing, just because she draws way better. The 4, Chilma, this is my top pick in the race here. Steve Wiseman jumps back on. She's dropping in class from the straight non-winners of 3 and 4s, which are much, much tougher than these. Doesn't win a lot, but usually stays pretty close, and I think this is a nice spot for this horse to be following the 3, Awesome World, all the way around the track, and could get a nice second over trip here to pop at a price. And then the 8, yes, well, no, maybe. is the most consistent horse in this field, and obviously the only concern is the outside post, but she does have early speed to be able to overcome that, so I'm going to throw her on 3, 4, 8.
Those of you at home who are wondering what I'm doing, I have handicapping juice sitting on my desk. I'm trying to rub that into my eye just so I have the most concise vision when looking at my program that I can articulate for you into the best profit. Totally not itching my eye.
Sure.
It is all for your benefit. I'm getting angry, but I apologize. I'm too deep in this last leg of the pick 4, and I'm going to deviate entirely from both of you. None of you used the one. Turbo Girl, who parked the mile last time out, faltered as a result, but still parked the mile last time out. Made him go a little faster than usual. 3 starts back, ended up being 3rd in this race, sitting a rail trip, and then 2 starts back. I just tossed that race all together. It's pretty flat, but that race last out at least stands out to me. She tried to leave. She couldn't get the spot, but she hung in there, and she hung in there, and she retreated. She stopped hanging in there. So maybe from the inside, she hopefully does not park the mile. I've seen horses from the rail park the mile before, and quite frankly, it's embarrassing. But she's 21 on the morning line. I think she has a shot. I just like most of this field, so I'm looking for just troubled trips that could potentially translate into better trips. Turbo Girl is one of them. The other one is the 5. Moon is on fire, which quite frankly is a concern to me. But she also, she tracked that cover last time from Turbo Girl, but she still parked the mile. And 2 starts back, she raced much better than Turbo Girl, riding the rail after being put on the lead, losing the lead, but then coming back to miss by a half length and finish 3rd. And that was after dropping the optional claiming tag and just racing straight at this level. She again is not here for the claiming tag because she's eligible for the condition, but just if she doesn't park the mile, she should be much more involved than when she did park the mile. So I'm going 1-5. I think this is actually a fairly wide open race. It usually is. So here are my numbers. You better write these down, and if not, you can find them on our website, NAHUpicks.com. So my ticket for 50 cents, it goes as follows. I'm 3-5. You're writing this down. With the 1-4-8, I hope you're writing this down. With the 1-3-6, I don't hear that pen writing. With the 1-5, $18 or 50 cents. And Mike, your ticket.
4-7 with 1, 2, 3, 5 with 1, 5, 6, 7, 8 with 2, 7, 8. It's $60.
Rod, your ticket.
3, 5, 6, 9 with 1, 2, 3 with 1, 2, 8 with 3, 4, 8. It's $54.
I somehow threw my pen into the spirit world, and that's a great way to end this edition of the NAHU Extra. I am Jean-Claude Van Damme, joined here by Mike Ribose and Rod Allums Jr. Again, we covered the $7,500 or $7,500 guaranteed pick 4 for Tuesday, July 17th at Running Aces Casino and Racetrack. And also, speaking of Running Aces Casino and Racetrack, Sunday, July 22nd, I, Mike, Rod, and maybe you will be live at Running Aces Casino and Racetrack doing our show 3 wide, covering the entire program for the Dan Patch Stakes. It's the Dan Patch Final. We have a lot of giveaways, including a trip to the Hambletonian for people on site. So you're going to want to come out, say hi to us, be a part of that, and potentially win Hambletonian swag, Running Aces swag, and swag from us. And speaking of swag, Rodney, I believe we have a drawing for some North American Harness Update swag, among other things. Do we not? I think we do.
Yep.
All right, and with that, we were going to announce the winner of this contest drawing. All you had to do is like NAHU Picks on Facebook or follow us on Twitter and like one of our sponsors, who, by the way, I want to shout out now, are sponsors for some of these giveaways, including Team Orange Crush, Hickory Lane Farm, Running Aces Casino and Racetrack, the Meadowlands Racetrack, the Hambletonian Society, and the Minnesota Horsemen's Racing Incorporated. Is that the MHRI? No, it's the MHRI, but letters can mean a lot of things. All of them have been grateful enough and gracious enough to help support us with these giveaways, as well as for our grand prize, the trip to the Hambletonian. But without further ado, on screen, after I say these words, will be the winner of our first giveaway drawing.